it's the need of the hour, because throughout the world we are facing and experiencing this whole very strong commentary about religion, and so much is happening, and this show very strongly tells you that how things can go wrong. There's definitely a lot of things being said about the Bible. There are a lot of things being said about Quran. And since I am familiar with Hinduism and Hindu philosophies as well, there was a lot being talked about Hinduism and Buddhism as well. And towards the end, there this one huge, either a jump scare or something of a cliffhanger, which would want you to watch the next episode. So I just finished watching Midnight Mass, and I couldn't stop myself from talking about it. Midnight Mass is the newest offering from the filmmaker Mike Flanagan. Those of you familiar with his work, The Haunting of the Hill House, which is definitely my all-time favorite TV show, and Haunting of Bly Manor. Dr. Sleep was also another film which he has made recently. Now, Midnight Mass is available on Netflix, 7 episodes long, and each episode is roughly about 1 hour long. It's a story set on this island, a very small island. The total population of the island, if I'm not mistaken, was mentioned as 127 in the first episode itself. And what happens there, how things unfold, and the people who live there, it's all about that. Now, Midnight Mass is definitely very characteristically Mike Flanagan, but the story is somewhat different this time if we start comparing it to Haunting of the Hill House and Bly Manor, because both of those stories were based on this one big house, one big mansion, 2 different houses, but the idea of the house remained constant in both of them. I loved Haunting of the Hill House. I was not able to enjoy Bly Manor as much because maybe they were trying to recreate what they had created with Haunting of the Hill House, and somewhere it did start feeling forced, and Turn Off the Screw is not one of my favorite stories, so maybe that story doesn't really work for me as The Haunting of the Hill House did, which is actually one of my favorite novels. Quick insert, the show also seems to have a very strong influence of Stephen King's work. It actually does come across like a story written by Stephen King towards his recent or later years, as they call it. And also, I just forgot to mention before, Bly Manor kind of seemed to imitate Haunting of the Hill House, but this is a complete detachment from those ideas, and it was very fresh, and I was really happy to see, and quite relieved actually, that they're not trying to tread the same road again, and they're coming with a new perspective, a fresh story with nothing attached to its predecessors, and it really worked well for me. I'm not going to indulge into how good the filmmaking is, how great the performances are, how well the show is made, because all of that is very much in place when we talk about such wonderful cast of actors and when we have such seasoned filmmakers. I don't think there's anything left to criticize or talk about from that point of view. But I would want to talk about how that story made me feel. Now, there's this small island, very small population. Everyone's leaving that island because there's nothing really to do there. There are no job prospects. People can hardly do anything apart from fishing to earn a living, and that's basically how it goes. So a lot of people are moving away. The main character, who's introduced in the very first shot, is a guy who is arrested for something he just happened to do, and then later when he reaches the island, how the island reacts to him, how his family responds to him, and then how things roll out. That's the initial setup of the story. There's this one priest who comes to the church, which is on that island, and then how things get entangled. All of that goes on. The first 4 episodes are essentially a slow burn, but something happens, I think, towards... at the end of the 5th episode, if I'm not mistaken, which really, really sets the course of the story, and things just absolutely blast out of control, and then the story really picks up a pace. It's a very strong story, and it does hit you very strongly as well. So, kind of a warning, if you're sensitive to religious criticism, if you're sensitive to discussions about religion, which kind of point out that certain things may not be suitable for the times that we are living in, then maybe this is not a show for you, because there is a lot of commentary about so many religions that you might find it upsetting. There's definitely a lot of things being said about the Bible. There are a lot of things being said about Quran. And since I am familiar with Hinduism and Hindu philosophies as well, there was a lot being talked about Hinduism and Buddhism as well. So all of that is very much a part of the show. And if you're not open to criticism of religion, then maybe you may not want to watch this show. The show did definitely leave me very disturbed, and it is very, it's the need of the hour, because throughout the world we are facing and experiencing this whole very strong commentary about religion, and so much is happening, and this show very strongly tells you that how things can go wrong, and how people can misinterpret certain things, and how it can become very harmful. And it's done in a very beautiful way, because the message that the filmmaker wants to deliver comes out very effectively. It's not directly phone sped either, but you do understand what's the whole idea here. Power can drive you crazy. You start doing things in the name of God, but then somewhere down the line you forget everything about God, and your self starts to come into the picture, and then it's all about the self and nothing about God. And that's how you want power, and you want more and more power, and then things how can turn pretty evil. That's the whole idea. But none of this really comes across in the first few episodes. The first 4 episodes are kind of a very personal tale of these very tight set of characters. They're just probably 2 families or so, and in the beginning you may not be able to understand where the story is leading, but it transcends very gradually. There's a wonderful transition, and it doesn't even feel jarring. So all of that is definitely in place. The show is thin on horror, or what I would probably call direct horror. It does have jump scares. Flanagan has this very typical format. He starts the episode very lightly, and then he keeps building it up, and then towards the middle there's one twist which kind of interests you, and then towards the end there's this one huge, either a jump scare or something of a cliffhanger which would want you to watch the next episode. So all of that format is definitely in place. The first few episodes will give you jump scares towards the end of the episode. So if you're like me, if you don't like jump scares, you might want to turn down the volume as the episode is coming to an end. And I love Mike Flanagan's style. He does this in each and every show. He did this in Haunting of the Hill House. He did this in Bly Manor, and he's done this again this time as well. He will pick up an incident, show you that incident, and then go back, show you the whole incident from another person's point of view, another character's point of view. And in this series, he did it twice, and very beautifully and very nicely. Towards the end, there were a few things which I kept questioning. Is this a loophole? And are the writers forgetting something here? Because how can this be? But then it did disturb me, it did distract me. But as the show came to an end, I was able to understand, okay, so they have an explanation for that, maybe not very effective. And the other thing might come to your mind as you're watching it. I don't want to get into spoilers, so that's why I'm talking very indirectly. But in the last episode, there are a few things when you are watching, you feel what's happening, how can this be? This is not supposed to be this way. But then there are explanations for that as well, which you answer on your own. So I guess that's in place. To sum it up, Midnight Mass, I enjoyed it thoroughly. I watched it in 2 days straight, 4 episodes one day, 4 episodes the next. And definitely a recommendation if you enjoy things like these, and if you're a Mike Flanagan fan, there's no way you can miss this. And a very good friend of mine is watching Midnight Mass currently, and I'm waiting for him to finish watching this show so that I can have a detailed discussion with him. So if you have seen the show, if you're planning to watch the show, I'm sure you will enjoy that discussion which I'll have with him. Also, as I mentioned in my last video, I am reading Dune currently, and I'm halfway through, and I think next week I will be able to finish it. I'm really enjoying that book. So hopefully I'll talk about Dune, the book, next time when I make a video. Alright guys, that's it for today, and guess you're all doing great. Keep reading, keep watching, stay safe. Cheers.